G'day and welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark from inside Hurricane Helene in Cancun, Mexico today. She's a pretty wild one. We've got trees down, a bit of flooding around as well, but nothing's going to stop us from talking about rugby. So let's get into the show. Now, Rassies named his team to take on Argentina in Nelspruit on Saturday. It's the last game, of course, in this year's Rugby Championship competition. It's a big build-up for this one. There's a lot of exciting things happening. And we've got Manny Lebok back in the team as well, which I think is a genius stroke from Rassies. G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a retired Kiwi bloke who loves rugby, and I'm living here in hurricane-stricken Cancun today. Yes, we've got a lot of rain and wind around, and hence I'm inside and not out in my beautiful park, but I guarantee you I will be back there tomorrow, I'm hoping. So let's get into today's episode. It's all about Rassie's selection for the last test against Argentina that's going to be played in Nelspruit in the weekend. Got a few opinions I want to share on this one, and of course, as always, I want to hear your views in the comments as well. I can't hide my excitement around the selection that Rassie's gone with for this week's game, because it's really intentional and I love it, and I wish some of the other coaches, you know who I'm talking about, would do this in the Rugby Championship. So let's have a look at the team, starting off in the forwards, and back in the front row for this weekend's game. We've got the powerhouse, haven't we? We've got Oxenchair, we've got Bonami, and we've also got Franz Malherbe. So a great front row. It's going to be interesting to see whether this Argentina team can handle this front row from the Springboks. That's going to be one of the battles in the weekend. Moving on to the locks for South Africa, and we're going to see Eben Etzebeth take up his 128th cap, a remarkable career, and this will put him ahead of everybody else as the most capped player for the Springboks in their history. So a fantastic achievement. And as I said last week in Argentina when he equaled Victor Matefield's record, I think this guy is an absolute beast for South Africa, but also a great ambassador for the game across the world. So hoping he has a great game in the weekend. Now, partnering Eben Etzebeth in this week's game is going to be Ruan Nortje. Been impressed with the guy. I think he's been playing really well, deserves this shot, and he always keeps going. He's got a huge engine. Been watching him making a lot of tackles towards the end of games, and really good player for the Springboks. And then moving back into the back three, and this is where we're going to see some changes in the forwards as we expected for the Springboks. We're going to see Peter Steph du Toit back in there again, Siya Kolisi, and we're going to see Jasper Wiese taking up the number 8 role again. I think this is going to be a significant area of the selection for the Springboks. Of course, Kolisi coming back in, captaining this team. His leadership is going to be vital in this game. So with Peter Steph du Toit back in this team, I think the South Africans are going to have a big edge in the loose forwards. It's I think they've missed him in the last game when he wasn't there, and he's been rested as well. So I think he's going to have a big game on the weekend. Jasper Wiese at number 8 needs to watch his discipline. South Africa have been falling over in that area lately, and they can't afford to have another player sent to the bin in this game in the weekend. So there we go. That's going to be the starting 8 for the Springboks. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is it the team you expected, or did you think somebody else was going to sneak in there? Maybe low at number 8, but I think Jasper Wiese probably deserves the start at number 8. Moving into the backs, and this is where it gets really interesting for me this week. We've got Jaden Hendrikse at number 9. Interesting selection choice here from Rassie. I know a lot of you say to me that Rassie really rates Hendrikse. Well, he's starting off into this game, and it may be because we're seeing Manny Lebok at number 10, and I think this is a masterstroke from Rassie, and that's why I titled the video the way that I did today, because I think starting off Manny Lebok in this game is the right thing to do. A lot of you have been talking about Manny Lebok's performance in that game against Argentina last week. What I saw in that game was 2 fantastic kicks from Manny Lebok in terms of contestable kicks, would actually led up to the penalty that he missed. So without those contestable kicks and South Africa getting on the front foot, they wouldn't have been in the position to get that particular penalty. So that's the first thing we need to look at. His distribution during play was pretty good, what I saw during that game when he was on the field. So other than missing the kick, I think that was the only thing I saw wrong with Manny Leboc's performance last weekend. I love the fact that Rassie's giving them a chance to start the game. If you've been watching my videos, you've been listening to me talk about Cortez Ratama, the All Black halfback, and how I feel he's better when he starts the game and not trying to make the impact off the bench. I think there's certain players in World Rugby that really need to get into the game to build their rhythm, to get their confidence, and that comes from starting the game and getting into the flow of the game. I think Cortez Ratama is one of those players for the All Blacks, and I think Manny Leboc is one of those players for South Africa. So I think this is a really good move, and then if needed, of course, we'll see Andre Pollard coming in off the bench, and I think this is a really great move from Rassie, and of course I think it's going to give Manny Leboc a lot of confidence as he starts this particular game, so a great move there. Moving out to the centres, as we had expected, Damien Deolandi is going to be back to partner Jesse Creel. And as I've spoken many times in my videos about these two, this is the centre pairing that South Africa needs to go with to start a game, I believe. And we're going to see them back to their very, very best, both in attack and in defence. So then moving on to the wings again for this week, we're seeing one change. Cheslin Colby is back for the Springboks, and Kurtley Ardensa is on the other wing. Now, a number of you have made mention in the comments that Ardensa has been costing the Springboks a little bit with his yellow cards. That's particularly interesting to me. I've gone back and had a look at that, and you're in fact correct. So we'll have to make sure that he's got his discipline in place this weekend. And then at fullback, we're going to see Fassi again for the Springboks. A great move, and obviously an indication from Rassie that this is the future of the Springboks team. Fassi's brilliant under the high ball. Saw him do some good counter-attacking. Questionable around his defence, but Springboks were down to 14 men when Argentina went on that try-scoring spree in the game against them in Argentina. So I like to see Fassi a little bit better on his defensive work this weekend if Argentina start putting the pressure on. So there we go. That's the starting 15 that's going to go into this game against Argentina. Let's have a look at what Rassie's done with the bench for this game. And a little bit surprising, he's gone with a 5-3 split for this game. And having a look at the forwards, we're going to see Marks, Steenkamp, Koch, Lowe, and Quagga Smith. So very good bench there for the Springboks. Want to see them be a little bit more impactful than what we saw from the bench last week. I don't think that was the best performance from the South African bench that I've seen for a while. And I'm sure with these guys in there this week, we're going to see it go up another level. Malcolm Marks coming in, of course, off the bench is pretty dynamic, that's for sure. Okay, then moving on to the backs that have come off the bench, and we're going to see Corbus Reiner, we're going to see Andre Pollard, and we're going to see Lucano Am. And I think that's going to be a very impactful bench for the Springboks, and it's very strategic, isn't it? We're going to see someone like Reiner that can come on at the end of the game and cause some problems when they're up against tired defence. We're going to see Andre Pollard with his stability around kicking. Of course, if there's any critical penalties to be taken towards the end of the game, he's the man that you want doing it. And of course, Lucano Am, who I think hasn't got back to his best standard yet, can come on and make a difference there in the back line as well. So a very good bench, I think, from Rassie for this particular game. So there we go. That's the South African team that's going to play against Argentina this weekend. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking of this team. Was it the team you predicted that Rassie was going to put out? And are you a little bit surprised with the 5-3 split on the bench? That's the other question that I would ask you all today. So when Argentina announced their team, I'll do a pre-game video talking about the strategy that I think we're going to see in this last round of the Rugby Championship. It's all building up extremely nicely for the weekend, isn't it, for an exciting game? Most of you are predicting a South Africa victory, but you never know in the game of rugby. We saw that last weekend. A lot of things against Argentina for this particular week. I'll talk about those in the pre-game video, so make sure you stick around for that when that comes out. Now, if you like my content here on the channel, don't forget you can choose one or more of these 5 ways to support me here on YouTube. I'd be very appreciative of that. And don't forget to shoot on over to Twitter as well, or X as it's called these days, and follow us on there. I'm sharing a lot of different content over there and talking about different things that are going on in the world of rugby. So I'd love you to join me there. Don't forget also to check out the community page. From time to time, I drop things on there that you can interact with. I'd love to hear your opinions all the time, as I do in the comments. Okay, that's it for this particular video from a very wet and windy Cancun today. It's time for me to say adios, to go and do a bit of cleanup, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay well everyone, and keep enjoying your rugby. Adios from now.